I do like that we literally picked a corner for Katie's quilting corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure the filming areas will change over time as I figure out where to film. Right now, this seems like the easiest place to do it, at my kitchen table. So, here we go.
I'm John, by the way, in case you were wondering who the guy in this video was.
Yeah, this is what he looks like. You've heard his voice before. If you've listened to the podcast, you've never... Well, you might have seen his face in some of the pictures on my blog. Anyway, he's my husband, John.
Hello.
So, yeah, I made the decision to move to YouTube. Back in February when I did my last episode, it didn't go well. I posted it, everything worked fine on my end. I tested it on my phone, I tested it on my computer, and then it seemed like it worked for some people and not others. And that was kind of the last straw for me. I've had issues with that. I've had issues with my website. I've had issues with my website host. I've had issues with my podcast recorder. It was the last straw. So, I got really kind of upset and depressed about it because I was really trying to get it back off the ground, and then it seemed like that effort just completely failed, on top of not getting the grant that I applied for, which was disappointing. So here I am. This is the change I decided to make. I sold all of my camera equipment. I got rid of some other stuff in my quilting room and decided I'm gonna get a new camera meant for video recording. A ring light to make my face pretty when I'm on the YouTubes, and yeah, a microphone I'm adding to my little recording kit as I can afford it. Again, no sponsorship. I'm just kind of doing this. I don't know. I miss the podcast. I miss interacting with everyone that was listening to the podcast. All the friends that I made. I miss you guys. So here I am. I'm going to have a lot of different segments that I had in the podcast, but I'm also going to have some new stuff since it's a new visual medium. And so this is the first episode. We're going to be talking about our Alaska trip.
Which is why I'm here.
Yeah, he was there, so he can attest to a lot of the stuff that happened and help me remember everything, because I'm not going to remember it all.
That's true.
So, so yeah, this is going to be our first little episode. I have edited 3 videos from our Alaska trip with all of our Alaska footage. They are already up on the YouTubes. Links are, I don't know where they will be, but they'll be somewhere. You can watch all 3 parts. Parts 1 and 3 have quilt shop tours, which I'm going to talk about while we're here. So let's get into that.
Yes, let's.
Okay, so our trip. Brief description of it.
Well, first of all, this is a trip that we booked actually over a year ago during our honeymoon cruise. So January 2017, it was like on my bucket list to go to Alaska, and we just, you know, they got us basically. They were advertising some of their upcoming trips, and this one looked pretty good, so we booked it. And a few months before, you decided you had the good idea to spend a few days in Seattle, which is where we were going to be sailing out of, because it always seemed like a really cool city, and it would have just seemed a waste to fly in and then leave on a ship immediately. So we flew in 3 days early.
So, same problems with the podcast. The corgis will bark occasionally, and I'm going to try my best to edit out all of the barks. So this may be incredibly choppy. I can't put the corgis on the table, unfortunately, but I'll find a way to get them into the video.
Well, we could, but that would be a little unruly. So anyway, so we flew into Seattle 3 days early. We had booked an Airbnb. Actually, you found it. It's this adorable little cottage in the Fremont area, which, you know, I think it's safe to say is considered the hipster part of Seattle.
Somehow, I got lucky. I found this cute cottage, not knowing any of the boroughs of Seattle, and it's a cottage behind a woman's house in a garden. So there's a garden area, and you'll see all of this on the video. There's a tour of the cottage and some of the backyard area. And then she also has a bunny that lives on the property. So every morning you come out and you see this cute bunny just sitting in this little hutch that she has, just chilling.
And what's the bunny's name?
Delphine. I did a snap one day of Delphine and saying it like that, and for some reason while I was uploading it, it got stuck on my phone saying it over and over, so we had to listen to me say that word over and over like that.
Delphine.
So now it's a joke.
Yeah.
So the Airbnb was great. The host was great. I would recommend her. It was $85 a night, which I thought was a fabulous deal. And the bus stop was right next to her place, which was up. Her place was on a very steep hill. And
we were not used to that, being
No.
Floridians, any sort of elevation, when walking.
we got our hiking in.
Yeah, we got every day was leg day.
You go to dinner and it's like, do I want to eat that much? I have a big hill to climb whenever I get back.
Literally a big hill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, speaking of food,
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the food of Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
The first place we ate at... Okay, so let me preface this. After traveling all day, we left at, 8 o'clock in the morning, our house, to go to the airport and rush. And then I didn't eat dinner or anything that day until we landed in Seattle.
Katie does not believe in breakfast.
I don't like breakfast. I don't like eating when I travel because I get really anxious, so it makes me feel sick. And I was like, I'll wait till I get to Seattle. It'll be amazing. So we get to Seattle. It's 5:30, 6 o'clock in Seattle's time, Pacific time. And we go to a barbecue place. We walk there. The food was not great.
I will say Seattle, at least based on this one place, it's not really known for its barbecue. So
No, it looks good on video, but...
It was a little bland for our taste.
And I really wanted to like it, but then we came back and we told our host, and she's like, yeah, that's kind of the response everyone's been giving us, so...
We probably should have talked to her before we went there, but
Yeah.
we were so hungry.
I was like,
we were
this
so
is
hungry it
close,
didn't matter.
you know.
It was a ton of food, which we needed.
But we made up for it. The next night we went to a place called...
The Whale Winds.
Yeah, which we
Yes.
found by accident. We were actually on our way to another place right next door, and we went into the wrong building.
She's being kind. I walked us into the wrong building, so. But it was a happy accident because it turned out to be this incredible award-winning
James
restaurant.
Beard award-winning restaurant.
That's right. Yeah. You had what was it? The halibut.
I had halibut, and for dessert I had the zucchini cake because I love zucchini.
And I had prawns in this great buttery garlic sauce. I'm surprised there's not footage of me eating. You mentioned those videos
We didn't
before.
take our camera that night.
Yeah.
I was tired.
Well,
so.
we don't need any more footage of me eating
Yeah.
food anyway. There's enough of that going around.
And then we did ice cream at this homemade creamery where they did homemade ice cream and soda. I really wanted a milkshake, but their milk wasn't there. But they had ice cream. So I had Nutella pudding, chocolate ice cream, and what was your flavor?
It was like hot chocolate, but it was like spicy and had like a kick to it. It was
Oh,
kind of
that's
like
the
it was like a
Mexican hot chocolate.
Mexican hot chocolate.
Yeah, that was good.
It tasted like what was it, like not Juicy Red, like the
Red Hots.
Red Hots. That's what it tasted.
I have
like.
such a childhood memory of Red Hots.
You had a food flashback for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
we did some sightseeing in Seattle too.
Yeah.
We didn't just go there to eat.
No, we did some sightseeing. We went to the Space Needle, which was under construction while we were there, but it was still kind of cool. I'm not big on heights, and it wasn't like on my list of things to do, but we were just kind of there, so I was like, I'll do it. When am I going to be back?
We didn't even plan to go there. We're actually going to go to the Museum of Pop Culture,
Yeah.
and it turned out this Space Needle was
Everything's right next to each other.
right next to it. Yeah.
That's convenient. But yeah, it was under a lot of construction, so you could only see 3/4 view upstairs.
It was still pretty cool.
It was really cool though, yeah. And then we saw the Chihuly Gardens exhibit, which blew me away. I was not expecting it to look like that. I've never been to a Chihuly exhibit, even though we have one an hour from here.
And for you non-Chihuly enthusiasts, that's what is it, glass blowing?
He's a glass blower. He's a glass artist. So he makes glass into these amazing shapes. And he's probably most famous for the display in Vegas at the Bellagio Hotel in the ceiling. So
That's one of Terry Benedict's casinos, right? The Chihuly Museum.
yes.
And we also, we were in Seattle, so we have to check out Pike Place Market, which was, by the way, the weather in Seattle was like perfect. We got there, and Seattle has this reputation for being gray and rainy, and we got there, and it was 80 degrees. It was incredible, 80 degrees and sunny, which is funny because we left Florida, a sunshine state, and it immediately started raining here for like 3 consecutive weeks.
Okay, but all I brought was warm clothing. I didn't bring shorts. I didn't bring short sleeve anything. Everything was hot. I was hot, and I was getting annoyed that I didn't have shorts with me.
Yeah.
Then I got to Alaska, and that whole feeling changed.
I can confirm she was getting annoyed that we were warm in Seattle.
Pike Place was really cool. It's huge. We didn't even see all of it.
Yeah.
We got there Sunday morning. It was early. It was Mother's Day.
That's right.
So all the florists were out with these huge Mother's Day bouquets for deals, and I got tons of pictures of the flowers. We saw the bookstore. We saw this really cool doggy shop that had all different dog breed merchandise. They had like a corgi display, which I thought was really cute.
I may or may not have picked up a pair of corgi socks, and we have a corgi refrigerator magnet, which is on our refrigerator. And
Well, mine at work. I stole it.
Oh.
It's on my fridge at work now.
Never mind. Well, it's not here for our segment coming up a little later. But
No.
Yeah. Okay.
So then we also went to Daiso. That was my first Daiso experience, which you can see my happy face as I get excited going up the escalator to see Daiso. Daiso is a Japanese dollar store that has different locations in America and elsewhere, except it's not in Tampa. So I've been fawning over these stores for years now. He had no idea. You've never even heard of this. I keep my obsessions private for a reason. But then I found out there was one in Seattle, and I insisted on going. I'm glad we went because we got some of the cutest stuff. Here is part of our Daiso haul.
I was going to say, are we going to get into
Yes.
it now? Okay.
So firstly, Seattle has a plastic bag ban. So we had to get a reusable bag, which I thought was really cute. I like this black and white design. My arms only go so long. So that's our bag. And then I got this cute little hairband thing that you put on. You put your hair in a bun, and then you go to do your face mask or whatever. And it just goes on your head. And I like that a lot.
I don't even know what this stuff is. It's just like fluffy bundles of
You're like, I don't know what
prettiness.
any of this is.
Yeah, like
Katie.
that is that like,
So this...
it's like a sock without feet. Or
In
something.
Japan, they try to avoid the sun as much as possible because your skin matters. And I'm kind of glad that the trend is catching on in America finally. So these are little arm sleeves that you can put on to cover your arms from the sun. And because I've had skin cancer removed, I'm like, okay, that's really useful for me. So I got a pair of those. And then these are my little socks that I picked up. And then we also got socks for our chairs.
We can show those. We
Yeah.
can splice that in later,
I'll
right?
show you the footage of the shopping.
Yeah.
There was so much. We also got candy. We loaded up on stuff from Daiso.
Yeah. The candy was good.
The candy was really good. I really wish Tampa would have a Daiso. So if you have a Daiso, just give it a hug for me because I miss it already.
Don't take it for granted.
We also went to a quilt shop on our way back from Pike Place Market called Undercover Quilts. This was the one that was most recommended to me when I asked about it on Reddit where I should go. I had 2 or 3 people tell me to go here. So
Within walking distance from Pike Place, which
yeah,
worked
it
out
is.
perfectly.
It was less than a mile.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
again, steep hill, but that's Seattle. So it was a really cute shop, just kind of in the middle of the city. It was, you'd almost like walk past it, I think.
Yeah.
There
yeah.
wasn't like a sign out on the sidewalk. I wouldn't have known. They had a good fabric selection, a lot of different sections. And whenever I go traveling, I like the local stuff. So I picked up this panel, which is a map of Seattle. And I also got, this is by a local artist, Tommy Joseph. So it's a laser cut applique, and this is a lot of what you would see in many of the shops in Seattle and in Alaska, these laser cut appliques that you could put on quilts. So I got a totem with a bear and an eagle. No significance. That was my favorite one.
Good job, Tommy.
Yes. They're really pretty. They had whales, they had different totems, they had birds, hawk, the traditional stuff.
Totems were pretty popular both in Seattle and Alaska. So
it's funny, like walking around, and we grew up in Florida, or I did. You kind of grew up in Florida. Half of you did.
Yeah.
So we don't have totems down here. We have Indian mounds, but no totems. So that was interesting seeing a lot of those around Seattle.
I know.
And then the really cool thing that happened on our trip was John posted that we were coming to Seattle on his Instagram, and one of my podcast followers, Colleen, saw it and commented and said, she lived in the area, and I think she didn't realize that we were staying like a few days. It's not like I posted my travel itinerary. I don't usually do that for safety reasons.
Right.
But I messaged her, we contacted each other, and we ended up being able to hang out with her for a morning, afternoon.
That's right.
She took us out to West Seattle with this really pretty walkway along the shoreline, and we had fish and chips lunch.
Yeah, we were by the beach.
Yeah,
which
was really cool.
Again, I wouldn't have taken Seattle as a beach destination, but it was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, another sunny, warm day. some breeze. It was really nice.
Saw a totem pole?
Well, yeah.
And you also got to see the skyline from a different view.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really cool catching up with the listener and having a chat, because I know with the podcast there's only certain things that you hear, and so it's fun actually having like a conversation with someone and making a new friend. Like, I feel like, you know, we're friends now. So
Hi, Colleen.
yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Colleen. And Colleen was super nice and drove us around a bit. So that changed like our whole trip, I think.
Yeah.
Made a big difference.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that experience, and I love meeting listeners and chatting with anyone. So if you were there, I'm sorry I didn't get to see you. I will come back.
Yeah, and if you're ever in Florida, we'll pay back the favor.
Yes, we'll take you around Tampa.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now we get to go to Alaska.
Well, thanks to Colleen. She drove us to the ship.
She did. She took us to the cruise ship that morning.
Yeah.
And the ship was just getting out of dry dock, which means that they made a bunch of improvements. They made a bunch of refurbishments.
Well, in theory.
Yeah, we'll get to that. They did add some new sections, and I've been on this ship twice before, so this is my third cruise on the Carnival Legend. It is a smaller Carnival cruise ship. I think it only has like 3,200 passengers or something like that.
Only.
Well, the big one's
over
4,000. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But this is one of the smaller ones. And I had taken 2 Caribbean cruises on it before. So I was excited to see it again because it was one of my favorite cruise ships. But that was also like 7 or 8 years ago. That was 2011, I think, is when I took my first cruise on it. Mm-hmm. She's aged. She's aged. Whew. And despite the dry dock, which caused us to get on board late, we didn't actually start boarding until like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which is unusual. You know, if you're a cruiser, you can get on usually around 11:30. Mm-hmm. You go have lunch. You wait till your room is ready. No, this one, we sat on the floor.
Fortunately, we had our Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, the Nintendo Switch is like the best thing ever.
Yeah. I bet there were like so many 8-year-old and 9-year-old kids that were just jealous.
I think we did catch some stares, like at the airport, on the airplane.
Yeah. Mostly
from like college boys, I would say. They kind of would like glance over, like, oh, they get to play Mario Kart.
Yeah, exactly.
So
eventually we got on.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So once we got on, our room was already ready, so we were ready to go look at that and put our junk away and wait on our suitcase to get delivered. And the room, after being out of dry dock, they have the giant CRT TV from like the 1990s. I was still surprised because I was thinking, dry dock, that'll surely have an LCD TV in there by now. Nope. And
the fridge.
Mm-hmm. So the fridge, we go in there to like look at the fridge and like put water in it, and it's completely unmounted. It's just shaking around like inside the cabinet. So
it's also not clear whether, I mean, even though it was plugged into the wall, it wasn't clear whether it was generating coldness.
No. So I called maintenance. Nothing ever happened. It wasn't like a big deal. We ended up like not using the fridge.
And also the TV. I mean, we're not on a cruise to watch television.
So the first day at sea is just a day at sea. You're just sailing. They take you, what they do on this route, they take you up to the northernmost point that you're going to be at in Alaska, which is actually in the Straits of Alaska. Not like up at Anchorage. It's more southerly. So
yeah, southeast Alaska.
Juneau is the northernmost point that we go to, and then we just head south the rest of the cruise until we get back to Seattle.
And before we got there, our naturalist, Nancy, I believe was her name.
Nancy.
She was very polite and careful to let us know that there would not be any penguins on this trip because apparently they live in the South Pole or in the Antarctic. I may or may not have known that, but you know, whatever. And also no polar bears because they live even further north than we were going. They live up in the Arctic area, the Arctic Ocean. So, but fortunately,
hopes and dreams dashed.
Yeah, but you know, there's other wildlife to enjoy, which we'll get to very shortly in Juneau, right?
Yeah. It's interesting being on an Alaskan cruise versus a Caribbean cruise. The naturalist on board, I've never experienced that before either. She'll just come up on the PA and start pointing out whales or talking about whales coming,
dolphins,
or dolphins are off the side, or there's a mountain range coming, or a glacier.
The hot tub situation was also interesting versus, you know, an Alaskan cruise versus a Caribbean cruise.
I was wondering about this before we went, because I had been on the ship before, set up for a Caribbean cruise. what they do for the Alaskan cruise is they put like a roof on the middle part of the ship that's normally open air with the pool and hot tub. On this one, it's covered.
Like a greenhouse.
Like, yeah, like a greenhouse. Mm-hmm. It's not like a permanent roof, but it's enough to seal in the space. Mm-hmm. It's still cold when it's like
it's still cold, but we did brave the hot tub. I think we were one of the trendsetters, one of the first people.
They had
who
two
dared.
hot tubs actually working, one outside, one inside. We never went to the outside one.
Well, we tried going to the outside one, but it was like the one time in the whole trip that it was like misting raining even a little bit. So we were like, it's not meant to be. So we skipped that one and stuck to the covered hot tub.
The meals were pretty good. There was a lot of salmon served at dinner. They had an Alaska menu on the menu at dinner, so you could see what the local like Alaska entree was and an Alaska style appetizer, and it was usually some sort of seafood for both.
And these salmon were no joke. They were all enormous.
Yeah, the first salmon. I mean, it was like a mountain of salmon. I couldn't finish it, and I'm a huge salmon lover, but it was like a pound of salmon on that plate. So then we get to Juneau, which is our first port stop, and we booked an excursion to go whale watching and to see the Mendenhall Glacier.
What we did not expect was when we got on our tour bus, there were 5 other people there, 5 or 6 other people, and they were all from Florida, and they were all Hispanic. And our tour bus driver was Hispanic too, or actually Mexican, I believe. So he decided to give the entire, as he drove us to the Mendenhall Glacier, the park, he decided to give his tour in Spanish because he felt comfortable. So our girl Katie here was the only person on the bus in Alaska who did not speak Spanish. So I had to like translate the tour for her.
Which was really fun.
Yeah, which was amusing. It was, again, not expected that I'd be busting out my Spanish skills in Alaska.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that either. But it was kind of funny. Like, everyone said where they were from, and then it got to me, and I'm just like, I'm a white girl. I know no Spanish.
You're like, I'm just white.
And then one of the people that came on our bus, he didn't know what to expect with the weather.
Again, Hispanic, Floridian. He heard he was going to a glacier.
He had 3 coats on. And
not just coats, but like the
puffy,
bulky,
down like
Michelin
coats.
Man looking coat.
3 of them, and one of the tour bus drivers was like, "What were you thinking?" And he thought it was going to be snowing, which is why he prepared to wear 3 coats. The poor guy.
Yeah.
I felt bad for him because it was warm that day. I was in a tank top that I managed to get on the ship.
Right.
I'm so glad I packed that because it was warm.
Yeah.
I wore a pair of leggings under a pair of jeans, and I wish I had just worn jeans. Because we went hiking when we got there. The glacier is inside of this national park. There's all kinds of streams and hiking trails, and you can take your dog and go swimming. And
which people did.
Yeah, that was kind of cool to see.
And there was a cool waterfall that we hiked to. We saw that there was a waterfall listed in the park. There was a sign that said it was a 2-mile hike. Our tour was running a little behind. So our driver told us that he'd be back in a little over an hour. So we were like, okay, do we want to walk the 2 miles there? And ultimately we decided it's like, we don't see a waterfall every day. So let's go chase this waterfall.
Yeah, we had to walk pretty fast.
Which is like my default, but like my strides are like twice as long as
I have no legs. So it was me semi-jogging to get there. But it was worth it. It was really, really loud. Like, you could hear it, I don't know, a good 10 minutes before you actually came up on it. And as you got closer and closer, it just got louder and louder. So tall. But we didn't have enough time to really play in the waterfall, which is regretful. I wish I had taken another like 5 to 10 minutes, but we were so worried about missing the bus, which was late.
Well, it was a bus full of Hispanic people. What do we expect?
I have that white girl, gotta be on time anxiety.
That's true.
But I'm so glad we went. That was probably one of my favorite parts of the trip, was actually being in the park and seeing the different streams and the mountains behind them. And then the glacier had pieces breaking off, so you could see the ice floating in the water. And it's amazing that the locals have access to all of these parks, because it's just pristine. And
yeah, it's beautiful.
The park rangers are super nice and helpful. They warn you about bear.
Yeah. I mean, all they say is there might be a bear. You can't outrun it.
Or there have been bear. Come look at the bear poop. And then they show you, like, the pile.
Yeah.
Just to prove that there was a bear there recently.
Right.
And all the trash cans are bear-proof trash cans, which is, like, a special mechanism. You have to put stuff in there because bear are really smart. Love Minnehaha Glacier. So once we left there and the bus finally showed up, he took us to the harbor where our whale watching tour was.
Yes. And again, on the way out there, they told us we were almost definitely going to see humpback whales, which are, I believe, like over 40 feet long. They're bigger than the boat that took us there, and there was like a group of like 20 or 30 people taking us there, so they're enormous. And they said that there's a very small chance that we'd see orca whales, which is like the really cool looking black and white.
She basically mentioned that, and then she's like, but you probably won't. And then she just moved on to something else. She's like, I'll talk about it if we happen to see any. And we did not see any orca.
We did not see any, but we saw a lot of humpback whale activity. Yeah, they had the boat had like a second story or a second deck where you can go out and look. And we were told if we spotted a whale to not keep it a secret, to yell out, 9 o'clock, there's a whale, and people. I
don't think anyone did.
Not
one lady was very vigilant.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, but I mean, they were everywhere. We didn't have to work that hard.
Yeah, there was a naturist on board that ship as well, telling us about the whales and how to spot them. And like, there's apparently a whale database where you can match the tail with this database and find out information about the whale if you can match the pattern. I did not get any pictures good enough to do that, but kudos to you if you did.
Yeah, and you got some good. I thought you got some pretty good pictures and videos.
I was kind of just pointing and praying the camera captured anything because it was really bright. That's the other thing about Alaska.
Especially considering we can't get too close to them for
Yeah, but it was really bright.
Reasons.
The sun was out. I mean, constantly, and everything was just very. There was no cloud cover at all, so I wasn't sure how good. But I got good. I got whales.
Definitely. Yeah.
Lots of whales and lots of footage of being on the boat, on the ship or whatever. I don't even know what they refer to it as. But it was very pretty because we're in the middle of like this bay surrounded by mountains. And there's other whale watching boats too. And there's rules of like how close you can get and what you can and can't do with the whales to make sure that you're not disturbing them because they're usually with their babies feeding. We did see a baby and a sea lion like feeding and playing together in the water. You could see them like jumping up and eating fish and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, Juneau was good.
Juneau was really cool. And then the next day we went to Skagway.
Skagway, we had an excursion there booked as well, and it was to go to a Alaskan Husky dog sled camp, which the part of the excursion that we signed up for actually was I don't know about you, but I wasn't expecting to the ride that we went on. I thought that we were just going to go play with the really young puppies because they want them to play with humans so that they socialize them and become used to being around people. But we got there. Skagway again, just completely picturesque, completely beautiful. Our tour guide spoke in English for Katie's sake, which was nice, and he was actually very funny, very knowledgeable. Telling us about how almost like 80% of Skagway and other Alaskan cities are 80% summer workers.
Yeah, they don't stay there in the winter. They just come for the summer tourism jobs, and then they leave back to wherever they're from. And he lived in St. Pete for a while.
Yeah.
So, but he knew a lot about the dog sled dogs. He'd been working this job for a while, really liked it.
Yeah. He drove us to the camp, which was basically at the base of this mountain. And they put us in this huge rickety truck that like took us up and up and up, and that was actually the scariest part of the trip. Actually.
I want to say it was like 800 or 900 feet that we climbed to get up to the area where they train the dogs, and they told us it's 10 degrees cooler up there, so that's one reason why they do that.
Right.
So it's elevated. You're in a rainforest. There's a trail cut that they run. It's about a 1 mile track, and as soon as you get off the truck, they told us to go ahead and jump in a sled. And you would immediately get on a ride with the dogs.
And we did our research on this place. We weren't going to go anywhere where, the dogs were not treated well. And, as soon as we pulled up and saw the dogs, it was, like, evident. Like, they were so excited to see us. They were so excited.
They wanted to go. They're like, people are here. We get to run now.
Yeah, they know that means that they get to go running. Yeah.
So we jumped in the sled, and they took right off. And we were in the front, so I kind of had to brace with my feet and hold the camera.
Right.
And ever since this trip, I've invested in like a steady cam device because I saw like my handheld skills are not that good.
Yeah.
So, but it was really fun. The dogs went pretty fast. The musher told us facts about the dogs, like how he trains them, how long it takes them to be put on a sled and begin training, how long the lead dog had been running.
Just how certain dogs like veer a certain way, so that affects where they're placed, you know, on the line.
Some dogs will pull more left or right, and then there's a line that they're all attached to, and they'll go on the left or right side, and
Right,
he has to figure that out.
they're always kind of experimenting with the placement of the dogs.
And he said same with pairing. You've got two dogs paired together, and you kind of have to experiment with that too. Because I asked him, how do you do that? He's like, oh, it's just trial and error. You see who works well together. And it, you know, doesn't always work. But you have a team of usually 16 dogs in the Iditarod. I think that day we had 12 or 14 run us.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah. I think it was 14.
So after you run a mile, you get to say hi to the dogs. They're all happy they got to run, and so they're drinking water while you pet them and say hello.
All super friendly. Yeah.
And then once you're done with that, then you go to play with puppies and to learn more about like Iditarod training.
Right. And we actually learned her name is Denver Evans, correct? Right?
Yes.
She was in the junior Iditarod.
2016.
2016, yeah. So, you know, very impressive young lady. You know, told us a lot about the race. You know,
the Iditarod is 1,000 miles, and the junior Iditarod is 100 miles.
It's wild to me that they like nap while they're running this race. They just like
they kind of sleep standing up while the dogs are running.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It's an interesting sport for sure, and I really wasn't aware of. I guess how like much of a local sport it is, and how much she fell in love with it because it was a school project.
Right.
And now she's planning on actually doing the full Iditarod when she graduates from high school.
Yeah, and I really liked her too. I like, you know, she only runs dogs that like are really, you know, really into it. Like if they're not really enjoying themselves, clearly they, you know, she doesn't make them pull or sled.
Right. Yeah. So she knows a lot about. She's learned a lot about the training. She talked about some of the other famous Iditarod trainers. And then she showed us the teenage dogs, the teenage puppies, which we weren't allowed to play with because they're naughty and they nip you and pull on your clothes.
Yeah,
but
they're very bitey. They're teenagers.
Yeah.
You know, they're going through some stuff.
Just like human teenagers.
Exactly. They're very bitey too.
Yeah. But she went in and played with them, and so I got that on film with her playing with them in a running wheel where they do some exercise. And then we got to hold... I think they were 4 weeks old, these puppies.
Yeah, which is like way younger than I expected.
Young.
They were really tiny, but very, very adorable.
Yeah, they're so sweet. This breed is different than the Siberian Husky, and they explained that to us and said the Siberian Husky is lazy and doesn't want to really do anything at all, and it's very stubborn. Right. And the Alaskan Husky is like more of a marathon runner. Like they're made to sprint for hours. They'll run for 10 or 12 hours straight without stopping if you let them. Right. So, and it's a sleeker breed, it's smaller, and the coat isn't as thick. So, it's like an Alaskan Husky is a mix of several different breeds of dogs, and a Siberian Husky is the lazy breed that no one runs in the Iditarod with. It's more of a pet.
They're very beautiful, but not much for
big
running.
difference. So the puppies were smaller. They were little babies.
They're cute.
But very cute.
Yeah. So Skagway was great.
Yeah. We got... We're fine. Okay. This was our Skagway ornament. We decided... We're minimalists. So whatever we get is small, but is meaningful to us. And I love Christmas. Christmas is like my favorite thing. And I love souvenir ornaments. So this is our souvenir ornament. Can you hold that up to the camera? Your arms are much longer than mine.
And we forgot to, don't we have another ornament that we picked up? We were going to do an unveiling for?
Where is that?
Right there.
I didn't see the paper.
Oh, Bernie is not responding well to this ornament that I'm holding up. I think she sees it as competition.
Yeah, she's like, Huskies.
Yeah.
Look at her face.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
And then this is our ornament from Skagway.
Humpback whale.
So, Skagway, after the dog sled excursion, they dropped us off downtown, which kind of looks like an Old West, like, towns.
It actually kind of looks like a movie set
like
of an Old West town, but it's like real.
Like
it's
a gold rush town, you
right.
know, almost. It's all styled like that. They have like a post office, which I sent my mom a postcard from.
Mm-hmm.
They had a quilt shop that I visited called Russian Taylor's Quilt Shop.
Mm-hmm.
They had like a theater.
Yeah, they had an Ace Hardware.
An Ace Hardware, of all places. It was huge.
Yeah.
And you looked at it, and I thought it was going to be tiny, but then you got inside, and it just went on and on.
Yeah, it had a second story that we didn't even check out. Crazy.
No, but...
It's like their Walmart.
It was cheap.
Because apparently the nearest Walmart is 90 miles away in the Yukon. Which, yeah.
No one wants to go there.
No. Sorry, Yukon.
Too cold.
Yeah.
The quilt shop was really cool, too. It was covered wall-to-wall with quilts and had a lot of Alaska-themed fabric. Had the batiks that had the Alaska prints on them, so it had whales and trees and mountains, and this is one of them that I got.
Yeah, don't just talk about
know.
it. Show the people.
So this is, I can pop the seal on this baby.
Ooh. Oh.
So this is what I'm talking about. It's Alaska prints, which I'm from Florida, so all I'm used to seeing are batik Caribbean prints, and I was very drawn to this. So that's going to go in my Alaska quilt whenever I make one. So that's one of them. And I like the Aurora Borealis colors. In my video, you'll see me like do this like shoulder dance whenever I discover the Aurora Borealis section of fabric. I had no idea I made dance moves whenever I see fabric I want.
I knew that.
You know everything. So this is my Aurora Borealis fabric. I really like all of the colors. I think I got, these are half yards. And then, is this all the same? I think this is all the same. No, this is like a panel. So this is, this was some sort of a panel, I believe, with like mountains and stuff. But again, Aurora Borealis. So that's what I spent there. And then I have one more thing. I love Sashiko. I love Sashiko. It's like my hand project whenever I'm going away. And she had this quilt that had all different kinds of Sashiko panels. So I decided to get one. Can you hold it closer? And this is a humpback whale. So I thought that would be cool to remember my Juneau excursion with the whale watching.
Yeah, and then the day after that we had our, I guess technically it's a day at sea, but it was really sailing along Glacier Bay, which that's when we got really close on the ship. Like the ship would go right up to this huge glacier wall.
It's funny, like when you get there the day before, they give you your Carnival Fun Times, which is like all the activities for the next day. But then you also get like this national parks pamphlet, and I've never like had that happen before. We get like a national parks pamphlet on your bed. I was very excited. So they gave this to us, which told us like all of the glaciers, information about the glaciers, and then Nancy the naturist came on and told us about it. So they would pull really close up to a glacier.
Do we really think her name is Nancy, or is it like alliteration? Like
no, I think it's Nancy.
That was a cool day. And then our next stop after Glacier Bay was Ketchikan, which our last two cruise days were, I mean, they were good stops, but they were really, really brief stops, which was a little disappointing.
You would be in one place for like 4 hours in the port total?
Yeah, we were in Ketchikan from, I believe we docked at 7:30, which means we didn't get off the ship till like 8:30 because there was a huge line. And then the ship was leaving already at 12:30, so like 5 hours in Ketchikan. But you managed to find a quilt shop there.
I did. I think you found it first.
Well, yeah.
You were on your map, so I didn't even know there was a quilt shop there. But then John found one, so...
In preparation to appear on this video, on this quilting.
He's like, I'm going to make myself useful.
Exactly.
Quilt shop locator.
That's right.
That's your title now.
Yeah, just put it right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're over your head.
And that was actually Ketchikan. That was actually the one day where it wasn't like totally sunny. It was a little gray.
Yeah, it was a little gray. It wasn't rainy, but it was like...
Yeah.
Misty, I would say, at best.
Exactly, yeah.
So, but the quilt shop is inside of the shopping center, which has the outlet, which is where we got a lot of gifts for people because it was inexpensive. And it had a couple of restaurants, too.
We got other stuff at the outlet, too. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No. Oh yeah, our shirts. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Is it like you just?
I just spaced out.
This is just how you dress now. This is who you are.
Yes.
You just wear.
So as I was preparing for this video, I asked him where our shirts were because I wanted to show them on camera, and like then later I was like, oh, I know we can wear our shirts, and he was like, yeah, I thought that's what you meant.
Yeah, exactly. Like when
So
she said,
he already
you show
went
them.
there.
Yeah, exactly.
I wasn't there yet.
By the way, the hat not purchased in Alaska, but it was purchased for the Alaska trip. It was a huge hit. A lot of compliments.
Everyone, and even in it was Skagway? Yeah, the Skagway lady also owned a yarn shop there, and she's like, oh, I teach a class on like that. I've never seen them with like pom-poms on each side, so I think I've started like a new trend in Alaska.
So next time you're in Skagway and you see people wearing the caps with 2 poms, it's because of Katie.
It's this girl.
Yeah.
I did it.
Yes.
But I'll never get to wear it again, so I'm glad I get to wear it on the video. Even though it is like 95 degrees outside and roasting.
I'm not wearing this outside the house probably ever. So
no.
Yeah. Talk about the quilt shop. Talk about Whale's Tail.
Okay, so Whale's Tail Quilt Shop was the surprise quilt shop I wasn't planning on going to, but I'm glad I did. The owner was there actually that day, and we chatted a little bit. She told me she bought the shop about 5 years ago, and she's been working on updating it ever since. She's renovated the inside. She said they're planning on being online by summer so they can start doing online sales. And she had a lot of modern fabric in there. She told me she's had to drag the locals into modern kicking and screaming. They did not like this change. They want their traditional, darker Alaskan fabrics, I guess. But she's doing her best. Really nice lady. She had these really cool glitter threads. I don't remember. I think Daiso. But they were made for like hand embroidery or machine embroidery. I got a picture of those. And I really wanted some, but I'm going to have to track them down online because I didn't want to bring a bunch of thread home. But I liked her shop. I think the thing that I loved the most was petting all of the different kinds of cuddle fabric. I've never seen so many different kinds of cuddle fabric there.
That's really what it's called? Cuddle fabric?
Cuddle fabric, yeah. It's like soft. You want to like cuddle on it.
No, it's just appropriately named.
Yeah. She had faux fur and cuddle fabric, a huge selection. So in one of our videos, you'll see me. I'm like petting it. I'm just so happy. I'm very I just love touching stuff. I'll say it now. The owner was so nice, but she didn't want to be on camera. I got one picture of her, and she turned her face away. Poor thing. Right. But I was very excited to see her beautiful shop. So if you're ever in Ketchikan. Thank you. I'm like, which city was it? They all start running together.
I don't know how I knew to jump in. I just knew that you didn't have it.
Yeah, you're like, so, Katie doesn't have that.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Ketchikan.
Ketchikan, 5 hours there, and we went to a quilt shop and saw a shop that had a sign that said salmon, etc.
Salmon, etc. I laughed. There were a lot of salmon shops. Everywhere you went, everyone wanted to hand you salmon, and they're like, we'll ship back to you. And I'm like, I could just order it at that point whenever I get home.
They must have so much salmon, because they have it for breakfast. You know, it's just...
Yeah, that's what they feed the sled dogs. They they slice it with, like, a handsaw and, just toss chunks of it to the dogs to eat. So, yeah. Lots of salmon there.
Right.
So that was Ketchikan, and then we got back on board, and then we were sailing for another, over 24 hours, because we got in Victoria, British Columbia.
Our final stop.
At 7:30, and didn't get off until, 8 o'clock.
And we were only there until 12:30, which, I mean, we didn't want to be out until 12:30, but it was still light out, because one thing we haven't mentioned, the sun is out fairly late when you're in Alaska,
10:30, 11 o'clock.
Yeah, we would wander on deck on the cruise outside, and you can totally see the sun, but it would be light out. It was odd. It was a little disorienting.
I'm finally just now. We've been home 2 weeks, I think, or a week. Week and a half.
A week and a half. Yeah.
Week and a half. I'm finally getting back on my sleeping schedule. It's taken me this long because it's 5 hours difference. Plus, we were staying up 5 hours late, and then with all the sun, it was a mess. My body was like, "What are you doing?"
Right. So anyway, we get into Victoria around 8 p.m. at night. Unfortunately, that meant everything was closed, basically. But we were not too far from downtown. We were within walking distance. We did a lot of walking on this trip. We got our steps in for sure. which helped justify all the cruise ship food that we had, all the meals. And
which we were still good.
Yeah, no, we were good.
I mean,
but,
I didn't go crazy with my eating. I don't think you did either. A lot of people order 2 or 3 entrees, but at most I might do like 2 appetizers and like 2 desserts.
No, but anyway, we walked to downtown Victoria, and it was beautiful. Like their Parliament, their Parliament building was like outstanding. It was like
he kept
lined by these.
I grabbed
Christmas
this map.
lights.
And it had the Parliament building, and he's like, "Yeah, the Parliament building," and he keeps mentioning it as we're walking over there, and I'm like,
"What do I care about Parliament? I'm not going there."
Parliament building, because in America, our government buildings are not pretty. Most of them are not, unless your town is amazing, in which case, kudos to you. But there's a lot of government buildings that are not pretty.
Yeah, but this one
was gorgeous. It looked like a freaking palace, and they had lights all over it, and it had a statue of Victoria, like all up front, all official. And there was a memorial, and
walking there, apparently Victoria is known for what is it? It's gardens. Yeah, so we were walking up the street to get to downtown, and every house just had this immaculate, just flowers on the front yard. It was really nice. You took a bunch of good pictures. And there were some historical houses which looked really cool. They're very bold with their color choices. The color combinations for their houses.
I mean, there were some Caribbean colors up there, which I wouldn't.
As people who recently painted our own house, that was cool to see. Yeah, exactly.
But the gardens, I think, surprised me the most. Everything had flowers or roses or something was growing.
The magnolia were great.
The huge magnolia tree.
Just roses like out in the street, which
I know, just downtown.
Yeah.
We walked there, and then we also went to the Empress Hotel, which everyone told me, go have afternoon tea there, but we got there at 8 o'clock. There was no more tea.
Yeah, as late as as dark. I know it gets dark late there, but 8 p.m. was still a little late for afternoon tea.
Yeah, we walked around inside, and I went into the shop that sells the teapots and the aprons and all of the tea stuff. It was very pricey, but I did find a beautiful tea set that was like my color palette. If I ever get a tea set.
Would you say it was your cup of tea?
Yes. But it was like $200 for a set, so I will just stare at the picture lovingly.
Yeah.
And drink my tea out of my plain cup.
Like a peasant. Right? Like a peasant.
And then my Canada souvenir was a nail clipper. Not exciting. I didn't even get it for this at all. But
where is it? It's very Canada.
Yeah, it's on my vanity.
We can splice it. We can splice it later.
Okay. So this is my Canada souvenir. Yay! I did get to see a Mountie, which I was very excited about. Right outside the ship, I took a Snapchat of him. I'm like, a Mountie! Yes, I took a Snapchat of Mountie. Wow. But that was the only Mountie I saw.
Yeah. I mean,
they're not everywhere like you would think.
It was actually my first time in Canada. I wish I'd been able to spend more than 4 hours there. It was, again, Victoria in particular.
We were only there like 2 hours.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Canada was really cool. Everyone was super friendly. Very nice city.
Such stereotypes being so nice. Those Canadians.
Yeah. They had DVDs. They had that DVD store.
That's right. They had a video store.
They sold DVDs.
Yeah. I think I had videos in there, like VHS. Yeah.
So that was our Alaska trip.
It was.
We came back to Seattle and then flew home, and then I took a few days off to rest. And so I need to show what I got from Whale's Tail. So this is from the quilt shop in Ketchikan. I liked. There we go. You get a little flyer with the information about the shop, and I really like this bag because it's got like sewing stuff on it. I've never seen a plastic bag like that with sewing stuff, so I had to keep it.
No, what is this?
This is for a future YouTube video that I have plans for. This is in the outlet, the sales center. These are thangles, if you've never used thangles before. I plan to do a future YouTube video timing each different method to make like a certain type of block and seeing which one is the most efficient while still being accurate. So I was like, this will be one of the methods that I test. So I got 3 different kinds. I got, this makes quarter square triangles, like for hourglass blocks, And then I believe these two just make half square triangles of a couple different sizes. So I will test out that method for a future video. And I got them all half price.
Which I probably won't be in that video, so you all let me know how that goes.
I'll find a way to incorporate John into the triangles video. We'll be like, okay,
Will I be playing the triangle, maybe?
Can beginners do this? Is it beginner friendly?
Does Katie's Quilting Corner, will I have a theme song that I can play on the triangle?
Yeah, you can play the triangle while I do triangles.
Okay, yeah, it's settled.
Okay. So he's the musical guest for the episode.
Yeah.
So that is our Alaska episode.
Yeah, this was fun.
I hope you liked it. If you're listening to the podcast version, you can see the video version where you see a lot more of my face.
And these sweet Alaska t-shirts.
Pretty awesome Alaska t-shirts.
Which Katie was not going to wear for this video.
It's sparkly.
Yeah.
You hush.
Okay.
So, thanks for watching. If you like this and you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. I am going to resurrect this channel and do all kinds of fun stuff. So, tutorials, quilt-alongs, like showing you what I do, projects, I don't know. It's going to be crazy. And then we're going to show regular stuff with the corgis and our travel and swing dancing, maybe? Swing dancing?
Who knows? Who knows what we'll get up to.
So, anyway, take a look at our Alaska trip videos if you haven't seen them yet. They're pretty fun and kind of funny. Mm-hmm. I added in a lot of jokes because I didn't want it to be boring. I hate watching boring travel videos, and these are not that. So, subscribe. I hope you guys liked.
Bye.
Click a thumbs up if you did like it. Mm-hmm. And I'll see you guys in the next video.